Hello my friends, this is Budrich. It's a new episode of Let's Linux. I call this one urxvt-reload config. Probably need a bigger window. Like that. Okay, and in this video we will talk about some advanced features of urxvt, which is the terminal emulator I use. If you really don't want to use urxvt, then don't watch this video, because it will be very specific for this terminal emulator. Other emulators work totally different. But what we will look into is, you know, if you remember from the previous videos, how we define the colors of our terminal. We have the Xresources file. Inside that we include this theme file. For now it's gruvbox, if we look here, and that only defines variables like this with different colors. And then we include these files, the xfiles colors and xfiles urxvt, and in colors here, this is where we actually define the Xresources resources, and we set them to these color variables that are defined in the theme files. So blk will be translated to 25, 23, 23 here. And we can we can see the currently loaded Xresources by using the query command. And here we can see that color 0 is that 25, 23, 23 value. If we change theme here to solarized dark, which is the other theme file here with different colors, it's a blue style theme. If we load these or merge them, let's load them. Xresources. And now if I query, we can see that it's different colors here, but the terminal itself doesn't change. We have to spawn a new terminal, and then we get the colors. But I guess that most people, they would probably like to update the colors when they change these settings in the same window. So you don't have to spawn a new window to see your changes. And that is possible, but it's not possible by default with urxvt. You have to install a plugin, so to speak. And urxvt, its plugins are written in Perl, and I think a lot of the emulator itself is written in Perl. And there is one plugin that's called urxvt-config-reload. There will be links in the show notes to the GitHub repository where you can find this plugin. Maybe you can find it in your package manager, maybe not. But let's assume that you clone or download this from GitHub, then you will get these three files. It's a readme file and two small scripts here, and this gives urxvt the functionality to update a window, update some settings in a window. We have to make some things here. I want to talk about urxvt's. My favorite feature of urxvt is that you can run it in what's called a daemon mode. And that means that you spawn or launch a process, a urxvt process, that will be like the mother process of all other instances of urxvt. And by doing so, it's much faster to spawn new terminals and they consume much less resources because they share with the daemon process. Every other instance of urxvt will share the resources from the daemon. And to do that, to use this daemon mode, it's very easy, and it's a really, if you're using urxvt, you should use the daemon mode and the client mode, because it will consume less resources and be faster. So and it also helps us when we want to change, update the settings like this, because then we can update the daemon process, and then all our open urxvt instances will get updated at the same time. It's very cool. So depending on how your setup is, I have it set up like this. I have a file called xinit or xinitrc. That is like this is a file that it's a script file that runs before i3. You see, I execute i3 from within this xinit file. I know that some people don't have this set up and run the window manager in a different way. And then I recommend you to create a startup script in your i3 config, and inside that script, and that's just like we have, I think we have some startup script here. Maybe not. Yeah, here we have reloader runs when we start i3. So you do something like that, and then you put inside that startup script. But the best thing is if you run it with xinit, but I'm not going to go into details with that. And it can be tricky if you run Ubuntu, for example, to get this working, but you can do it. And inside your startup script, where even if it's from i3 or not, you put in this command urxvtd, which stands for daemon. And I run it. I don't remember what these flags do, but I recommend you using them Q, O, and F. You can look in the urxvt manual, but it should work without the flags too, I think. But I just use this. So, and this means that it will launch this process, this urxvt process, the daemon process, even before i3 itself executes. And this daemon process, it doesn't have a terminal window or anything. It's just like a background process that all other or further instances will use the same resources. But it's not enough to just run this. If you do this and then you launch a urxvt terminal with the urxvt command, either like this, you probably don't do that, then it will run a terminal, or from your i3 config, which is probably more common. You shall not use, let's see if we can find it. Here we have urxvt. This will run a normal urxvt process, but we don't want a normal process now. We want a client or a child process of the daemon, and then you can use any normal urxvt commands like this, but instead of the urxvt command, you use urxvtc. I also think there is one command that's called cd. I'm not sure here, but you can look into it. If you do that, I think this is how it looks like. Then it will, if there is no daemon process, it will create the daemon process and run a child process like this. But try to find all places where you launch urxvt and make sure that it says urxvtc like this. And then whenever you run a urxvt instance, it will be a child process of the daemon process. You can make sure that this works by running pidof and then typing in urxvt. Now my mine doesn't seem to work here. Because then, yeah. Quit all this then. Yeah. You see now, when I run this pid of urxvt, that will return all the pids, the process IDs of all windows. I don't get anything because they are launched with the client mode here. And if I open a new window, now I have at least 2 urxvt instances. But still, we don't get anything from urxvt. I did. God damn it. It's this guy. This runs the i3 sensible terminal, and we don't want this to run the sensible terminal, we want it to run a urxvt instance. So I actually recommend to add either this, so it doesn't run the i3 sensible terminal and instead run urxvtc. Maybe this can be changed in an environment variable to make sure that the C always runs. I'm not really sure here, but make sure that every time you launch a urxvt or spawn a terminal, you use the C, the client. So now if I reload the config, can't have the float term instead of i3 run, we just run this. And let's call it, we don't even name it, we just run this. Have this as your mod 1 return instead of the sensible terminal. urxvtc. Yeah, now I can run multiple instances, and if I run pidof urxvt, we should have nothing. And if I run it with C, nothing. And if I run it with, because C, now we only have one process, which is this, the urxvtd process. And this is what we want. You will see soon why this is good. We could actually keep these windows on the screen, because then we get a good visual representation that our thing is working here soon. Okay, that's the first. So yeah, you saw it. It was a bit of a hassle, and you might even have to restart your window manager and everything to make sure that you are running it with the daemon in daemon mode and that this works. But you know that it works when you don't get any process IDs when you run this command. Then we can look at here how to install this Perl plugin. First, you need to install the dependencies, and it's urxvt obviously, and then Perl 5.2. I don't know if we can run Perl-v maybe. Yeah, and here I can see that I have 5.26, so it's no problem. Make sure that you have you probably have that if you have updated everything correctly. But then it also needs these, we can call them Perl libraries that you need to install. And to install them, you use the cpan, which is like a package manager for Perl scripts, and you just copy this line, sudo cpan, and then the 3 dependencies here, and install them. And then you have everything you need to be able to use this Perl plugin. Then you have 2 Perl scripts here in the same folder. You have to copy them to this location. If you don't, you might have to create this folder inside your home folder, .urxvt. Inside that you create a folder called xext, and inside this folder you can just copy these files, both of them. And last thing you have to do is to add the config-reload. The config print, you don't have to bother about that, but config-reload, you have to add that to the list of Perl extensions that you want to use with urxvt inside Xresources. I have my own urxvt file with all my urxvt settings like this, and then I include them in Xresources like this. But they could also be directly here in the Xresources file. It depends on your settings. But you should have a line there that's called urxvt perl ext common. This is where you enter which plugins or extensions you want to use with the urxvt. You see I have some different ones here. We might look at them another time. But here you enter config-reload to this list. And it should be a comma separated list like this. When you have done so, you might have to restart, or I think the best thing is to restart everything. You could even do this before restarting with the daemon and such. But to make sure that the daemon process get these settings, I think it's safest to just restart your window manager basically. When that is done, then the plugin is active. But it doesn't update automatically. It says here how it works. This plugin allows you to reload urxvt configuration at runtime by sending sighup to the urxvt process. And that means that you have to manually send this sighup signal to urxvt for it to work. And to send signals to processes in Linux or Unix, you use the kill command. So let's look really quick here at the kill manual man page here. So to send a signal, you define it like this: dash and then the name of the signal or the number of the signal, and then basically just the PID. And there is one option here that's very interesting. -L. This will list all available signals that you can send. So kill -L, that will just bring up this list. And here we can see sighup, which is hang up, I believe this signal is. And that is signal number 1. So to send that to a process, you just write kill-1 and then the process ID that you want to send it to. So now we can reload our config, or change our config here. Let's change it to gruvbox. Save that, and then we merge or load these new settings with the command xrdb load or merge. Xresources, and now we have gruvbox loaded. And now we just have to send this SIGHUP signal to the urxvt daemon process, and then it will update all our urxvt instances. And to find out the process ID, you can run the command pidof, and then just urxvt. We have looked at this already. Only urxvt, nothing, but urxvtd. Then you will get the daemon process ID. So if we send this kill -1 3186 0, you see it updated all our windows, and you can see it's not perfect because it's a blue border here, and that is because it updates a setting that I don't think we have in our theme file. It's called border. Yeah, here we have foreground, background and cursor colors, and then the 16 colors. But we should also here add border color and set that to the background color. Now if we change, or we can merge here. And then once again send the signal pidof urxv. We will soon look into how to make this like a smoother way to do this, but kill -1 3180, and this process ID that can differ, so you cannot save this into a script file, because every time you run urxvt daemon it might get a different number. Most likely it will have different numbers every time you spawn it. Now when we added this border, you see that also got the background color, so now we don't get that ugly border. So just add this to the colors file here, and you will get the right thing. Okay, just a demo here. Let's change this again. We could even do this solarized dark, then merge, and instead of writing this number hard-coded like this, we could also write it like this: either kill 1 and then $, parentheses, and within here you can write another command, and the output of that will be replaced here in the lines. We could write it like this: pidof urxvtd. This should also work, and then you see then it's more dynamic, and this is a line that you could use inside your scripts to update Xresources. You can also write it like this. This is the exact same thing. Backticks, these are not single quotes but backticks. On a US layout you have that symbol where you have the tilde when you press, yeah, I think you get it, next to the 1 key. So these two will do exactly the same thing. Now nothing happens because we haven't changed the Xresources. We could also, if we wanted to, create a script, autoscript, Xreload, let's call it that. And then just xrdb load Xresources, and send this kill signal, kill 1. I think it's recommended to use this way instead of the backticks. Pidof urxvtd, then save. And now if we change here to gruvbox again, we should be able to just run xreload. Typo. Xresources, like that. Xreload, and now it changes. It does this. This is what scripting is all about. You put several commands in one file and run them with one command. So I think that is what I wanted to show you here, and because we will. It's very good if we have some way to update our terminals, at least to get a visual representation of our changes when we go into when we look into my Mondo thing that I showed you in the last video. And this is also very useful for all kinds of things. Even if you don't use Mondo, you will still benefit from using at least the daemon process with urxvt. It's hard to see the difference, but it's much faster. It's from maybe 200 milliseconds to 20 milliseconds. It's like 10 times faster to launch a terminal. It's very, very fast. Well, 275, but I think that is the time it takes to load the shell. And to launch the terminal instance itself, it's no time at all. Okay, but the links will be in the description where you get this urxvt-config-reload, and I will also write in the readme file the changes, how to launch urxvt as a daemon with the flags and stuff you needed. And also remember, very important, that you run your every time you run urxvt instance, run it with urxvtc, so you're sure that you have a child process. And if you're unsure, just run pidof urxvt. If you've done something wrong, then you will get process numbers here, because those are not processes from the child process or daemon process. And this is often the if this doesn't work, if it doesn't update all your terminals, you have probably by mistake launched a terminal that is not a child process of the daemon. A bit technical. I hope you followed everything. Just ask me any questions if you have some. This was a bit tricky for myself. It took some time before I figured out exactly how to do this. But it's not hard at all. And it's also good to know when a program tells you this, send this signal. Now you know how to do that. Just kill -L and then you get a list. And then it just dash and the signal. Some programs, many programs use these user1 signal and other signals too. It's good to know, and this is really interesting stuff. So I really recommend you reading up on these signals and how they work and what's the difference between them, because it's like a core functionality of a Unix system. Thank you for watching. My name is Budrich. In the next video we will start configuring a Mondo setup that will change more things than just the terminals, because that's what we really want to get to be able to change everything, like one script, one theme file, unlimited amount of applications updated automatically with that. Because you see now the GTK here, it's not updated and whatever. Thank you for watching. See you. See you.